Hello, everyone. Listen, y'all are in for a treat because this is the first episode of the Bad at Math but Good with Money podcast. So if you don't know me, who is this person talking to you in this new podcast episode? I'm Tamara Dias. I'm the visionary and founder of an organization called Good Soil Education. And at Good Soil, our main goal, our mission is really to take complicated topics when it comes to money, when it comes to finances, and share it in an easy, applicable way. I already know that likely throughout your life, throughout your journey, people have told you things about money. And you've probably scrolled social media and seen lots of helpful tips about finances. And usually you keep scrolling and you keep going because it's either too complicated, it's over your head, or sometimes it really just seems outside of your current financial situation. You think it's too big of a concept to apply when really you're just thinking about your next day or your next month's goals. And so here at this podcast for Bad at Math, Good with Money, we really want to create an inclusive space where if you were ever told growing up, like me, you're not so good at math. Math isn't your thing. Go try English, go try history, go do something else. Then this is the space for you. If you've ever felt like talking about money maybe was a taboo topic where it's just something nobody brings up in conversation, or if it is brought up in conversation, then you avoid it, leave the room, find a convenient time to go to the bathroom so you don't have to talk about it, then you're welcome here. My real goal is to really just demystify the topics about money that scare us, that frustrate us. Because if we don't talk about it, it doesn't mean that it won't come up again. It doesn't mean that we won't need an emergency fund. Doesn't mean that we won't have bills. All of those things will come up. And so the more we get ourselves comfortable with talking about it, the easier it will be. So you got homework. Before we even jump into today's topic, you got to like, share, go ahead and copy and paste this link, send it to your mom, your dad, your cousin, your best friend, send it as a birthday gift. Let them know that they want to listen to every single episode of the Bad at Math, Good with Money podcast. I'm not alone here. I got company, y'all. How exciting is that? So producer Zach is here with me. Really, he's here for y'all because he's going to keep me on track and make sure that things run how they're supposed to. I get a little excited sometimes, so I may need him to reel me back in and keep me on topic just so y'all don't have to scroll through the episode wondering what happened. What is she doing? So we got backup. Zach is going to make sure that things go smoothly, and he's just going to make sure that this is a engaging and interactive session. I invite you to talk back to me. So throughout this episode, if something catches your eye, or if you are nodding your head, or literally if you are talking to your phone or talking to your car as you're playing this, comment. Reach out to me on Instagram at Dr. Tamara W. Dias. Send me a DM. Let me know and let me know what resonates with you. I want you to feel connected. This podcast is as alive as you want it to be. Comment, share, and let me know what resonates with you the most so that we can continue to be in conversation with one another. All right, so where does this come from? Where does the idea of bad at math, good with money really mean? I really want to take you on a journey towards financial wellness. Look, I get it. Not everybody wants to talk about Bitcoin. Not everybody wants to talk about Roth IRA. Some people don't even really want to look at their 401k right now, and I completely understand that. I really want to focus our financial conversations on the idea of peace and wellness. Financial wellness is simply creating a financial lifestyle that you're not waking up the next day in immediate frustration or panic about. It means you go to bed at night and you feel calm. It means that when you make financial decisions, whether you're saving or spending, you feel confident about what you're doing. You're using money and money is not using you. And that's exactly what we want this journey to be. So I've done enough talking. I've given you the overview. I've given you the information. You met my amazing teammate who's going to be with me in the background. So you're like, Tamara, get to it. Get to the meat of the episode. What are we going to talk about? I got you. All right. So episode 1, I really want to get into the idea of learning your personal money management style. Why is this important? Because if you've ever reached out to someone, maybe through social media, maybe you've dabbled a little bit in financial advising and you've even reached out to someone to talk to them for financial advice, you really don't start there. The journey doesn't start with somebody just giving you a tip and you going with it. It starts with self-awareness. It's kind of like when you set a New Year's resolution. You see somebody else setting a goal and you go, oh, that'll be really cool. I'm going to do the same thing. So you just copy and paste that same goal and you go after it. You don't figure out your why. You don't know what it means to you. You don't even really know what it takes to go after the goal. You've just accepted something that somebody else shared with you. I don't want this podcast to be that for you. So we're starting off with personal money management styles because I really think it's important for you to get a sense of self-awareness before you even get into the budget. Yes, we'll get there. We got time. We got plenty of episodes in store for you, but really wanting to start from a place of reflection. What does your journey with money look like? Where did it start? Do you even like budgets? Or does the thought of a spreadsheet make you want to snap your computer in half and throw it across the room? Raise your hand. It's okay. This is a safe space. I will not judge you if that's you. And so today we'll jump into different personal money management styles because it's not to say that one style is wrong or one style is right. It's like a recipe. When you're baking a cake, you need flour and you need eggs. You need all of that combined to create the cake. Now, obviously, you're going to have a little bit more of one ingredient than the other because that is what makes the cake great at the end. And so that's how I want you to think about your personal money management style. You need all the different elements that contribute to who you are and how you manage your money. And so if you hear your style, if you're listening and you say, oh my gosh, Tamara, yes, that's me. Or as you're explaining that, I completely relate to that. Let me know. I want to know if this resonates with you and kind of your journey to self-awareness and self-reflection when it comes to your money.
And I think you did a great job of pointing out, just because I manage my money in a way that you might doesn't necessarily make me right and you wrong. Different strategies for different people will kind of take some precedent. And I think you did a good job putting that out.
Yeah, for sure. And diversity when it comes to just how you think about money is super important. I always like when I have friends that just think about things differently than I do because it helps. So if I have friends that are typically more prone to save versus ones who are more prone to spend, we have balance in our group because sometimes you got to save, but sometimes you got to spend and you need that balance. Everybody is welcome and all styles are for sure appreciated. All right, let's jump in. So style number 1. I'm starting off with one of my favorite people because they're not me, the saver. So if this is you and the word save literally makes you want to jump for joy, do cartwheels, you're one of those people that automatically kind of has money taken out of their check every month because you're like saving is a priority. You've always had savings accounts. The idea of saving as much money as possible gets you excited, then this is you.
We already have great dichotomy because you are talking directly to me right now. So perfect. That is me to a T. So yeah, how can I learn a little bit more about myself?
Yeah. So savers are going to be more budget conscious. They're the people who really, before they look at buying the latest tech tool, the latest pair of shoes, even before they plan that island vacation, they're looking at their savings account first. These are people who are typically going to say, I really can't afford that because I need to hit my savings goal. You may set a new savings goal every year. So every new year, you're probably one of the people that's like, there's 52 weeks in a year. How much am I going to save each week? I have a big goal that I'm trying to hit. And these are also people who are going to be more cautious about spending. So they're going to be more thoughtful about making decisions, especially if they're going to be spending large amounts of money. These are also people that when they have to tap into their savings, they're not very happy about it. They like to save it and they like to keep it and look at it.
I like it coming in, not going out. That's me.
So they like to stack the savings, stack the coins in the bank or whatever saving method they choose. And they're going to be more thoughtful. They're not going to be as quick to jump in and say, oh, you want to go on a trip? I have $3,000 saved. I'll just pull it out. They'll probably tell you, I need a little more time. Let me think about it. And also don't be fooled because you may think just because they hit their savings goal that they're done. Not always the case, and usually not the case. Once they hit a savings goal, they'll likely raise the bar and keep going. And they will want to know, well, if I can save 5,000, can I save 10? If I can save 10, can I save 12? And the bar will keep increasing. So what this means is that these are individuals who are always going to prioritize saving over most of their other financial goals. So if that's you, if you're like Zach and you're like, absolutely, you found family. You're not alone. All right. Number 2, you are my people. So get your thumbs ready to go ahead and like double tap, get your typing fingers ready. You are the spender. So we are people that don't necessarily need to see it coming in because we know it's going to go out. We are people who are going to prioritize. Well, not even prioritize. We're going to be more comfortable spending money. So if we love a good Black Friday sale, a good special, we're the ones who are probably texting you, asking you about the vacation because we've already hit add to cart. We've already reserved the flight. We already are looking at our points because we are determined that if we want something, we're going to go after it. We are people who typically it may be easier to sell to. So if you're a salesperson listening to this, then I'm sure spenders are some of your favorite people in the world, because we're people who don't always focus so heavily on saving. And if we do, we'll still spend. So it's not that we need to stack the savings or have large amounts of money. We're comfortable seeing that money go out because we value experiences or shopping or whatever it is that we're focused on spending at the time. Again, if that's you, you're like me. I love a good shopping trip. One of my favorite hobbies is reading. So unfortunately, the bookstore sees way too many of my dollars. I will swipe for 10 books before I read the ones that I have on my bookshelf. And so spenders also, I want to remind you, it doesn't necessarily mean that you spend without thought. But what it does mean is that you spend and you're comfortable with seeing that money go out. Saving may be important to you, but you're not going to sacrifice what you enjoy doing just so you can save. All right. Number 3 is going to be a little bit similar to the saver, but not quite, because this person is the investor. So when I think about the investor, they're not just trying to save. So they're not going to be your, let me put this in a cute savings account, get my 0.05% on the money. These are people who are looking for long-term financial growth, and they want to put their money in investing towards the future. So these may be people in your life who are always focused on retirement. Like they're trying to put away more than 15%. If their company has a match, they've absolutely maximized it to the highest level possible. These may be your friends who have real estate investments. So maybe they own a home and then they have another one that they rent out. And their thought process is always, how can I buy another property? Or is there an opportunity for me to invest in a property, whether it's, commercial or home? These are also people who are going to be maybe even dabbling in your Bitcoin, in your cryptocurrency. They're always looking for new opportunities to invest their money. And of course, the good old stock market. So these are the people that get the alerts to their phone and they're checking that stock market every single day, and they know who's up, who's down. They know where their shares are. They know, oh my goodness, I invested in this company and my shares dropped. It's worth a cup of coffee now. And it was worth $80 last month. What happened? These are those folks. And they're going to be invested, like I said, in the long-term financial gain. So all those things that I named, whether it's real estate, stock market, retirement, none of those are quick money returns. Those are all things that you typically have to be invested in for years to see the financial gain. Your investors are going to be in it for the long term. So they're not necessarily looking to get rich quick, but they know if I'm going to retire at 50, here's how much money I want to put away every single month. I'm willing to put in that money for 10 years, for 15 years, because I want to make sure that long-term game, I'm going to win. All right. Now, number 4, I said this was a safe space. Everybody's welcome. If you're like, Tamara, you haven't said anything about the one that I am, I'm sure I'm getting there. I'm sure I'm close. Because number 4, we all know them. We love them. The avoider. Number 4, you actually don't want to talk about money. You don't want to spend. You don't want to save. You don't even want to think about it. Your main goal is looking at the bills, making sure the bills are paid, and then that's it. You are typically shying away even from actively managing your finances. And so the avoider is someone who maybe you'll ask, what's your monthly budget? And they might say, I don't know. I'm not sure. I know my car payment is this much. I know my cell phone bill is that much, but they can't give you a number. There's someone who maybe you'll ask, what are your financial goals? And they may not answer you due to a lack of not having them, but just because they don't even want to think about financial goals. I think it's important to talk about the avoider because Sometimes the avoider doesn't come out of a conscious decision. Sometimes it starts with just due to fear about what our future will look like. If you're earning less than what you need to live the lifestyle that you want, then you may avoid it just because it's really uncomfortable to think about or talk about. Maybe you grew up in a household where your parents never talked about money. Money was a curse word. You didn't talk about it. All you knew is that maybe the bills were getting paid and that's it. Maybe you felt scared to ask your parents for money because you knew that there wasn't an abundance of money available. So if you're saying, I resonate with the avoider, but it's due to just like past history with money or due to how I was brought up or just due to fear about the future, safe space for you, because the avoider is real and it exists. And we want to create space so that all of these styles know that there's still opportunity to embrace other areas of the personal money management styles. And you can also take ownership regardless of where you are. So if you're an avoider, don't worry about it. And I completely understand what it's like to be in that space of overwhelm and frustration when it comes to money.
We all know an avoider. Like you in your life and me in my life, we can all kind of think about our personal network, and we all know the avoider. And the best part is there's a lot of solutions that I think they might find easier than that initial thought when they're going through their budget or their yearly goals or whatever they'd like to get into.
For sure. And the easiest way to get out of avoiding is just to talk and have the conversation. I always say whenever I'm working with like a personal coaching client or even when I'm doing a workshop, I always say that it starts with a conversation, being open and being willing to talk to someone. And, like I said at the start of this episode, that's really the main reason for this platform is to start the conversation so that you don't feel like money is such a scary thing that it kind of has to go in the back closet and you have to ignore it. So again, overwhelm and frustration and just worry about money are so common. Money worry is like one of the top causes of anxiety. So you're not alone. And if you find yourself in that space as an avoider, I understand. And I have been there for sure. All right. And last up is going to be the eclectic. And it is exactly what it sounds like. If you said, wait, I got a little bit of this, I got a little bit of spender in me, I got a little bit of saver in me, but Tamara, I also like to invest. I got a couple shares over here that I'm doing, and I like to check on my phone and see what's doing what, and I check the stock market. But then also sometimes, like when I swipe a little bit too much and that credit card gets high, I also kind of want to avoid it. I don't want to look at it. I want to make that minimum payment and never look at it again. The eclectic is going to be a combination of all of the styles that I've shared. So maybe just depending on where you are in life, you ebb and flow out of one of those styles. And so I know for me, I have a background in corporate America, your typical 9 to 5. And on typical parts of the year, like if I was getting a bonus, I may find myself more open to spending because I just got a boost in my budget. I got money that maybe wasn't necessarily planned or accounted for. So I'm going to spend and treat myself. I might not rush to saving it in that moment because maybe I've saved a lot throughout the year and I really just want to enjoy this bonus and take it and spend it on a vacation or something that I'm really looking forward to. There may be other times where, knock, knock, you get a global pandemic. And you turn into a super saver and you start allocating every single dollar you have to an emergency fund or to save money. Understanding that like life circumstances and as we get older, as we navigate certain situations, sometimes we lose loved ones. Sometimes we add to our family and grow our family. Sometimes we get new jobs or we lose jobs. Sometimes we start our own businesses. It is completely normal if you find yourself kind of flowing through different money management styles. So that would be the eclectic. If you find yourself at times kind of gravitating towards a combination of all 4 of the styles, then this one is you. There's space for you here. We welcome all of you here. And again, right, like there's no right or wrong answer. So if you are more eclectic, you don't have to feel like, oh, I absolutely should be a saver. Like I need to ditch spending. I need to ditch investing and solely be a saver. Not true. Being the main goal of thinking about your personal money management style is, like I said, awareness. When you're aware of how you approach your money, it really just allows you to think about your financial situation in a different way. All right. Now, I shared that this is not just a budgeting podcast. It's not just a financial advice podcast. Wellness is the ultimate goal. So every single episode, I'll do what is called a wellness connection. I'll connect the topic to a wellness practice or a wellness result in your life so that you can understand, well, how did all that talking actually help me in my life? What does that mean? What's the point? So I'll connect the practice to how this improves your overall financial wellness. So today we talked about personal money management style. And when you're more self-aware in your finances, this leads to overall reduced stress, improved mental health, and more ownership in your finances. So when you know how you spend money, when you know how you save money, when you know that you do both, or when you know that you don't do either, you're more aware, and it allows you to get into that driver's seat of your financial journey. You're not leaving it up to just whatever happens to you. You're not just saying, I'll wait and see, what the bills bring next month. It all starts with self-awareness about how you approach your money so that then you can reach out and get the type of advice you need. I almost think it's a waste of time for you to jump first into finding someone or even sometimes really getting books, because how many of us have gone to a webinar, gone to a workshop and thought, that was great, but it actually doesn't fit me for where I am in life. It doesn't even fit how I spend money. Or you listen to a guru and you think, I don't even really like what this person is telling me. I don't like this advice. They haven't related to me at all. It all starts with self-awareness, because then you can even make more thoughtful decisions about how to get help about your situation. And it's something that I work with many of my clients on in our one-on-one coaching is we start with self-awareness before we do anything. I'm sure you got goals. I'm sure you want to buy a house. You might want to buy a luxury car. Great. But let's kind of start from a journey of how you approach your money and how you think about money before we jump into that. Now, I also mentioned that this is going to be an interactive podcast. So I'm going to take your questions. We're now going to shift into the Ask Tamara portion of this podcast. And so it's where you, fabulous listeners, get to submit your questions to me, the things that keep you up at night. When you wake up at 3 a.m. to go down to the kitchen for that snack in the middle of the night and you think, man, I really want to talk about this when it comes to money, this is for you. And so I put a little plug out there, a little early homework for me, and took some questions from fellow millennials and said, what do you want to know about money? What keeps you up at night when you think about your money situations? And so today's first question came from Twitter/X, depending on how you refer to it. I feel like Gen Zers are comfortable calling it X. I feel like I'm stuck in my ways and I'm still going to call it Twitter. So Twitter X, whichever one you prefer. This question says, how do I plan for and manage aging parents without enough retirement? So I'm really fascinated by this question because it's actually part of my own journey. I stepped into the role of caregiver earlier this year for my father, and I really was kind of thrust into a lifestyle of having to think about, wait, my parents are actually getting older. What does that mean for me? What does that mean for my lifestyle? How do I even approach the conversation about money with them and what their plans are? And so I really wanted to address this question, so thanks for asking it. So the first thing I say, anytime you're talking with parents, it's really important to understand that a lot of times they still see you as a kid. Even if you have 12 degrees, a million certifications, you are still the kid. And understanding that, even in my own life, really helped me approach my parents differently, because I could say, wait, but I've read this article, or haven't you read this book, or don't you know that the current statistics show this, this, and this? At the end of the day, I was still their little girl. And that's all they could see, no matter how I approached the conversation. So when I knew I was coming from that lens, I think it allowed me to see things from a more empathetic perspective, and also to not get my feelings hurt when they shut me down. Newsflash, if you come in with like your books and your articles, there's a very strong chance that your parents will say, leave me alone. You have no idea what you're talking about. I'm not doing this with you. So it also allowed me not to be really offended when I got pushback immediately, or I got I'm the parent, you're the kid. Like, you don't get to ask me about money. So understanding that even if you mean well, even if you love them with all your heart, that they may absolutely just shut you down. So I think being prepared for that rejection can help you. Now, once we get past that, what you want to do is create an open conversation where you can get some type of assessment of their current financial situation. So this means understanding what their current income is like, whether they're still working, whether that's Social Security, pension, any savings or investments that they may have. I would also add within this understanding if there's any assets that they have. So if they own their home or if it's still being paid off, do they have, just any like bonds or stocks that you might not be aware of? What other assets are a part of the full picture?
Are bonds, stocks, and homes, are those kind of the main assets that we should be looking out for? Are there any others that maybe could be off the radar that I might miss?
So I think those are the main ones that I've seen. And typically I think with like older adults, so typically the ones that we'll be talking about now who are in their 70s, maybe 80s, those are typically the most common. And specifically, I think like property is the biggest one that usually in some form, property and land. So if they own, multiple acres, or if they own their homes, or if they're living in a home that maybe has been passed down through generations, that's typically what we see as well. So yeah. Then after that, you may notice, because I want to add that this question highlighted that there's not a lot of resources available. So their parents haven't necessarily saved up a ton of retirement. I mentioned getting clear on assets first because parents might say like, oh, I don't have anything. And they have, $200 a month that they're getting from an annuity or retirement. So you do want to get clear. Even if they shut you down, it may feel like nothing to them, but you want to get clear on the actual amount, whether it's 0, 500,000, 10,000, whatever it is, know what it is. Once you have that amount, or if there is no amount, then you'll be able to explore which government or community assistance programs are available. So this can be Medicare, Medicaid, depending on your state, and even depending on your city, there's going to be specific resources that are available to you. Specifically, like if you're in an urban city, so I'm thinking like a Philadelphia, a New York, maybe even like a Miami, your bigger cities, they're going to have a ton of resources that are available, and you want to get clear on those. Now, as the person who's helping their parent, you really want to take the lead on trying to maybe find some of these resources, because what I found in even supporting my own parents is that they can feel so overwhelmed, like many of us, that they feel like, I don't even want to look for resources. I don't want to ask for help. I don't want to tell anybody what I need. And so you really have an opportunity to open up the door to resources that they may not even know are available, or that they might not be sure that they have access to. And so always be sure to check in your local community and see what those resources are. And then the last thing that I would also encourage you to do is to open up a space for continued family discussions. So whenever you're trying to support, I think, aging parents, this is not a one-time conversation. So this isn't something that you can sit down and do like in 2 hours. Like, hey, mom, I'm coming over. Pull out the tea. Let's, have for 2 hours. Create that space for ongoing conversation. Within that, I would add like the bullet point underneath of consider your environment when you're having this conversation. Don't bring this up at the dinner table for like holiday dinner when all your siblings around or all their siblings are around. You got 20 people over and you go, hey, mom, how much do you have in retirement? Have you thought about your life as you age? Not the best time. The best way to approach this, I found, is getting in that one-on-one conversation. If you have a sibling, maybe pulling in one sibling, approaching this and saying, we just want to start the conversation with you. I'm thinking about what the next 5 to 10 years look like, and I want to make sure that I'm prepared to support you. And so in having this conversation, it really allows me to plan for how I can show up best for you. And I want to try to alleviate any worries or fears that you might have about your financial future and see which resources are available for you out there. So I think starting there will hopefully open up the door, ease the tension a little bit, and then create that space for that ongoing conversation. Because as I shared, this isn't a one-time thing. You might get pushback the first 2 or 3 times you try, and then finally on the 4th time, they say, I think I'm ready to sit down now and talk about my finances. So I would start there. Again, figure out what community and government resources are available to you. I would also add in checking if there's a local nonprofit organization. So there's tons of nonprofits and communities that support seniors or those who are 65 and up. And they also have a hub on their site where they probably can connect you to folks who will help you apply for government assistance or community resources there. So the biggest thing is to know that you're not alone in this. Of course, I'm here with you in this journey, and there are definitely agencies and resources out there to help support you.
And you're going to get pushback, right?
For
I think
sure.
that you did a good job of pointing that out. And they raised you. They brought you to where you're at today. So they've earned some patience and some equity in their trust towards you. So you're going to have some pushback, yes, but using the approaches that you've mentioned, we're going to get to the end point of where we all would like to be.
Absolutely. Give yourself some grace and give them some grace too. We all need it. All right, y'all, that's going to bring this episode of the Bad at Math, Good with Money podcast to a close. We had a good time. I had a great time.
We had a great time. And, I think, please respond, to Instagram, on YouTube, your comments, any questions that you like answered, please like and subscribe to the channel. And if you're interested in any private consultation or private coaching, check all that in the link in the bio, and, we'll make that really accessible for you.
For sure. I'd love to work with you one-on-one. Or maybe you heard something today and said, I'm a member of an organization and I would love to have you come and share this with that group. Totally open to coming, doing workshops, training. So absolutely feel free to connect, reach out, and talk back to me. Love to connect with you and see just how this is applicable for you and your journey. And of course, join us back for the next episode. We'd love to have you here.